Greetings, Orange Army. Welcome back to UJTV. This is yet another episode of In Conversation. Now, on TikTok, they say, another day, another dollar. But here I say another day, another conversation with two members of the UJenius Club. You know I'm buddies with those people at this point. I think I should be a UJenius Club member by association at this point. All right, I'm joined by two incredible individuals who are doing great things in the Faculty of Education here at the University of Johannesburg. First up is Valerie Matongo, who's doing his third year in his Bachelor of Education in Senior Phase and FET, majoring in Mathematics and Physical Sciences. He is passionate about mathematics, and his mission really in the future is to ensure that we hate mathematics a bit less. I'm excited to find out how it is that he plans to do that, because indeed, I also do hate mathematics. And joining Valerie, it is Thembelihle Nkoana, also doing her third year in Bachelor of Education in Senior Phase and FET, majoring, however, in Business Management and Physical Education. Beautiful lady whom I love, except for one thing about her, she supports that team from Naturena. What is your problem, Thembelihle? Couldn't you just cross down the street and come to Orlando and support the team that side?
No. I'd rather not have a favorite team at all.
Okay, it's fine. We're going to put our differences aside and just get moving with the business of the day. I would hope you support Orlando Pirates then.
No. Okay. I support Amazulu.
Okay, at least. Yeah, I can take that. That's fair. I can take that. No, guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, I want to start with the both of you. I was speaking to you a bit earlier on before we started the shoot, right? And I found out that it has not been all the 3 years of your academic career that you've been part of UJenius. How would you say it's different? What would you say are the differences between being a member of the UJenius Club and not being a member of the UJenius Club? What are some of the things that you see and you're like, I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for the club and all of that? Starting with you, Thembelihle.
I think for me specifically, it has to do with the recognition, recognition being recognized by the club itself made me really improve on my marks and take into consideration the fact that I'm really much blessed. So during the year that I was not part of the UJenius, I think I was not very much motivated in terms of, showing up for my studies like that. So being part of the UJenius it makes me recognize every day the fact that I'm really much blessed beyond measure. And I'm seeing it as not just a symbol of achievement, but as, something that I can take every day and be prideful in. So I think for me, that.
I love that. Valerie, what about you?
Rising from her. I think, like what she said,
You
that
will be expelled.
no, I'll just paraphrase it,
Yeah.
and reference her,
Beautiful.
Yeah, but like what she said, the recognition that comes with it. Because first year I wasn't UJenius. I don't know. I think because of Afrikaans in high school, I didn't do well. I hated, but we're not there. Then second year maybe there was that one module, that English, which I hope you don't love because I hate. Right.
Now that I love. Mathematics, not so much.
Like what we call beef between us, yeah. But anyway, that recognition that you get, for example, we recently met with the dean and the vice dean, it's something that I think under normal circumstances you don't just get to see the dean or speak with the dean, and so those privileges, I think you can see the difference.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Speak to me about education as you study towards your Bachelor of Education degrees, right? Has it something that you've always loved? Was it always your first choice? Or it's something that just caught you along the way and was like, yeah, you come this side?
Oh my goodness. I can actually write a whole book about that. With me, education, like being a teacher, has always been a calling to me. I view it more than just a profession, but a calling, because it just how lively it felt when I explained certain concepts to someone, seeing as someone understanding a complex concept, understanding complex ideas, because I was able to simplify that. For me has just always been a fulfilling moment. So I faced a lot of criticism, I don't want to lie, because being an A student at school, then now you want to become a teacher, but I was just able to block whatever from the people, because I chose to not being a victim of other people's thoughts. So I think for me it has just always been a calling. I've been called to save, and most importantly, I'm a huge fan of making difference, and I saw a classroom as a place that I can basically use to start making that difference in other people's lives. Because being a teacher, you take also into consideration the fact that the people inside the classroom have got so many, personalities, have got so many personal issues, and some come from, broken homes, social pressures and stuff like that. They deal with a lot. So I just wanted to kind of give them hope to maybe find strength in, what they can do and what they cannot do. Yeah. I think I also just wanted to change that for them. If maybe a person does not really have hope, I'm not really, made for this life thing of achieving and stuff like that. I just wanted to be the teacher to basically not only just give them content, right, but also to just like kind of encourage them. So yeah, it has always been a calling.
We need more teachers like you, people who take this as a calling, and not just, it's something I can do, so I'm just going to go and do it. You understand? So shout out to you. How about you, Valerie? Has it always been part of the plan, or just along the way?
I think I also have a similar story. And for me, I am motivated by the scripture that says, many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. Now, of course, that may not always be true for everybody, but I've seen that applied in my life, where I did want to be a pilot, but then in grade 11, grade 12, I find myself teaching or helping my classmates, and I'm like, I enjoy this, I love this, right? And I'm like, nah, but I don't want to do this, like, there's no money or whatever, all of these reasons, And so I'm like, let me just maybe do something while I'm saving money for aviation school. Sure. But that thing that I was doing is tutoring. And so as I'm tutoring now, I fall in love with it. And so when I was applying to university, I never wanted to come to university actually because I wanted to do aviation. I wanted to go to aviation school, right? And so I applied for maths, because the most important subject. No, I'm joking. But I applied for maths. I actually applied for actuarial science as well here to UJ and education, right? And I got accepted for actuarial science, both degrees. When I was in Zimbabwe, waiting for my study visa, I was going to do actuarial science, right? That was my plan. I'm like, I'm going to do actuarial science, get the money, and then go to aviation school, right? But I got rejected because of space constraints because I was late in my registration. So I think that was literally that direction to say, no, education is where you're supposed to be. And the moment I read the first slides for this other module, I'm like, I love this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so something that I've always enjoyed. And like, just to add on, teaching is not easy, right? And it's the great teachers that are hard to find, because it's the great teachers that care about the students, that want to explain the content, but also emancipate the students, which not ordinary teachers can do, And so I think it's not as easy as people might think it
is. I love that you're touching on the day you opened that first slide. I want us to speak of expectations before you do this degree and then the actual doing of the degree. Did it meet your expectation? Was it anything you expected? Or there's been a lot of surprises in how you actually are trained to become a great teacher? Because I think if you are at the Great University of Johannesburg, we can almost tell that you're going to just be a great teacher. Starting with you once again, Thembelihle, were your expectations met really with this degree now that you're doing it?
They were met and even exceeded at some point. So coming to university, I come from a background that has minimal exposure when it comes to like education and stuff like that. So I think I lacked so much information, right? In my head, I was just thinking, no, it's business, it's economics. I wanted to do economics actually when I came to UJ. So I'm that girl, I understand business, I know the concepts. So that was, I feel like I was just, my mind was centered around that, business and economics. I got to UJ, I got introduced to modules such as education studies, teaching studies, and how they always prompt us to think critically, in terms of engaging with not just the content, but also the outside world, right, and everything within the education system. So I think for me that was very much a beautiful experience, and also how UJ, emphasizes a lot on technology. Okay, I'll just be honest. I used to fear technology, like the use of technology. Anything that had technology in it, I was not so confident in it because of I come from schools that did not really integrate technology that much. So I think the expectations were also exceeded in a manner that I got introduced to the technological world and how to use it as a teacher to prompt critical thinking, to foster interactive lessons, engagement and stuff like that. So I can actually say a lot, but yeah, my expectations were exceeded.
Yeah, and I'm glad that the University of Johannesburg is doing that, integrating technology into these fields, because really the world is moving towards that. I was emceeing an event very recently where I said it's no longer just a cool skill to have, it's the language of the world, and you have to equip yourself with it so that you can be able to communicate with the rest of the world. Coming to you, my sir, was it what you expected?
For me, well, I had technology and all that. So the shift was okay for me because I was able to maybe, for example, use computers, whatever, all of these things. But in terms of like the content, because I came here thinking, okay, you know what? I love maths. I love teaching it. So I'm going to go learn maths, I guess. Or I'm going to just know how to teach maths, basically. And I'm like, now I already know how to teach maths. Maybe I just get this degree because to just show that I can teach maths. But when you have modules like education studies, where now you taught about emancipatory education, you realize that it's much more than just teaching maths, right? So it goes beyond that, just that content knowledge that you have. And so that for me did exceed the expectations that I had. It didn't really meet what I thought I was going to just do here, and so, yeah.
All right, beautiful stuff. When I come back to you, Thembelihle, you say that you are passionate about the fields of business studies and economics specifically, and mainly because of how they influence people's lives. Speak to me about that. How do they influence people's lives?
So the subject, I feel like for me, when you have the opportunity to turn content into life, right? When you bring life into it. So with business specifically, seeing how I always learn about entrepreneurship, how people grow their small businesses, how they can turn into multinational companies and contribute significantly to the economy, and seeing that actually happening around me, because they've been like entrepreneurs from the hood, like back Kokasi, and they start their own businesses. Now I'm actually seeing them prosper, in terms of the business world and stuff like that. Coming to economics, how it translates the content into the real changes, right? Also, given the fact that during COVID-19 we faced things such as recession, stuff like that, and I learned about recession. So learning stuff that I can always relate to in my everyday experience for me has just always been very much fascinating. So that's why I love the fields of business and economics every day. So yeah.
Beautiful, because also I think we undermine how important knowledgeable teachers are, in that you tell your students, your learners something, trust me, their mom will know about it later on when they get home. Mom, Miss Nkoana was telling me today that this is what is what. So I'm really excited that you're diving into that. But coming to you, Valerie, you are somebody who is from Zimbabwe. It says here that you came to South Africa in grade 6 to stay with your parents here in South Africa. What would you say are some of the differences between the education system there in Zim and this side?
So when I got here, right, for me it was a huge shift because, for example, the school that I went to, right, we were maybe fewer in our class, and the teacher probably could accommodate most of us. But for me, the big change was the subjects, because in Zim, in grade 5, when I was still there, we did like 4 subjects, right? Maths was obviously part of them, right? But yeah. And so when I got here at grade 6, I'm doing 6 subjects now. And there's life skills, there's natural science, technology. Yeah. And I had to learn some of these things. And sometimes when the chair's like, oh, remember you learned this in grade 5? I'm like, I wasn't there, And so that content changed. But when it came to maths, I think I've always been strong in maths. And so some of the things that they did, I was like, okay, I already know these things. Okay, so some of the knowledge there, I think there's more content that we might learn in different grades. For example, in grade 6, I might learn something more than what I did in Zim, or the other way around. And so that shift for me was what. Was the difference. Yeah.
Okay, now you say that in the future you want to pursue your studies a bit further, where you're going to be doing research on how to make mathematics a less hated subject. Now, the moment I saw that, I was set, because of course, as I did say, I hate the subject. But maybe there are reasons behind that. And furthermore, maybe there are more reasons why you even want to make sure that you make it a less hated subject. Why do you think we hate it so much?
One thing about education, it goes both ways, in the sense that the teacher can contribute to it, but the environment can also contribute, or the learner themselves can also contribute to it. For example, maybe in grade 5 you had a good maths teacher and you loved maths, right? But then in grade 6 you got a terrible teacher and you started hating it, and from there you just hated it. And then you get to grade 10, right? You get introduced to these new concepts, and you know the teacher is maybe passionate, like for example myself, but you've hated it for so long. And so for me, what I saw is that with my classmates, for example, some of them wanted to do maybe they wanted to become doctors or do BSc, but then because of their maths mark, they weren't able to do that. And so for me, that was what also drove me to also love and be passionate about it. Say, you know what, sometimes maths is a barrier to higher education, of which I don't want it to be like that. I don't want you to get a 30% in maths. I know you can probably get a 50. That's my goal, to be honest, that you know every student can probably get a 50% in maths. And so that's what motivates me. And just changing that perspective to say, yes, you had a terrible teacher, or maybe you didn't get those concepts, but change your mindset. Because, you know, they always say it's all in the mindset, right? Sure. And so an example that I always love to give is that I hated Afrikaans. Like, if you say you hate maths, for example, I can reciprocate that with Afrikaans. But you know what I did? I still went on to study Afrikaans for my finals. I still, I still had to like study the Afrikaans dictionary. I always tell people that I had to study the Afrikaans dictionary to get some words in my head. And so it's in the mindset. You could hate it, but put in the work, put in the effort, you can definitely improve. And I always say, for example, if you started playing soccer, you might not be like Messi, but you can definitely improve, right? You know, after 3 or 4 years. And so that's what I think, you know, can happen.
Right. No, I love that. We've spoken about his future aspirations. What are yours, Thembelihle? What are we looking at in the future?
Okay, I'd really like to become a lecturer, like a business management lecturer. I fell in love with business management so much that, you know, being in a tutoring space, you know, engaging with those learners, encouraging them to, you know, and find whatever that they're capable in, you know. I'd really like to become a lecturer because I perceive that as a tool that I can use to change, you know, potential into purpose. I came across lecturers that did not just lecture, but they were mentors. They guided us so much that I want to be that figure in someone's life also. I want to use lecturing to empower the future generations, basically. So, yeah, I'd really like to become a lecturer one day.
All right. Yeah. No, beautiful stuff. I want us to close it off, guys. What should change about our educational system as a nation? What do you think is either lacking and we need to invest in a bit more, or something that you feel is there and it should be removed away because you don't think it's necessary and you don't think it is resulting in progressive development in our educational system?
Just to really be specific, like in terms of business studies, right? In high school, I think business studies does not prompt critical thinking enough because I had really I had problems coming to varsity and getting exposed to business management now that required, you know, critical thinking in bold and analyzing different scenarios in depth and stuff like that. I feel with the business studies curriculum, if they could like try, okay, I mean, I'm a future teacher, so
you can do
I can be the agent of change. Yes, I can be the agent of change. So with how they ask questions, like I need business studies, like I'd really wish to see business studies students really not take it as maybe some sort of a low status subject that they can cram overnight or CPF. The curriculum really needs to consider prompting that kind of critical thinking from the learners so they can just perceive it also as a subject that they can use in their everyday lives and just turn it into an authentic subject, I guess. So with that,
I get. Also, I'm imagining then it would make it easier when you go from high school into university.
The transition will be very much easier. Yeah, true.
Love that. Valerie, what should we be changing?
Just, you know, before I also speak, just to add on to what she said, you know, about business studies. I never did business studies.
He hates it. By the way. You do.
Okay, I didn't do it, so I can't hate something that I didn't do. Like what she said, you know, we do, you know, the government is always talking about maybe entrepreneurs and all that. And I think it starts with the business studies because because we are friends, so I know the content that sometimes they do, and they do learn the actual content that, for example, could make you a good entrepreneur. And I think we need to translate that into practical action now. So, for example, even though I didn't do business studies, I was able to start my own tutoring company, for example, and, you know, just you can do it as well. And now when you have that content knowledge, imagine
There's
just
more
how
you
much,
can
you know,
do.
because I don't have
Yeah.
it, but I'm gradually learning it. You know?
And the fact that when it gets practical in high school, you don't even need university now to be able to apply this into real life situations. And like, truth of the matter is not everyone will make it into university. So good point right there.
And then for me, as someone who does physical sciences, right, where, you know, UJ emphasizes inquiry-based learning, where you're not just doing all the talking, but you want to know what do the students actually, what prior knowledge do they have, and using technology to do that. And so if you look at maybe public schools, for example, you find out that resources are lacking. You know, there are no labs, for example, and so that makes it hard when you are having to teach experiments and you have no resources, you have no lab. And so I think resources is a key issue.
Yeah.
Of course, it comes with the funding of it. And I don't have all the knowledge about it, but I think, you know, looking into that resource and funding aspect of it could improve, you know, the way we go about education.
Beautiful stuff, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. You see, if it was up to me, we'd continue on and on and on and on. Because I think what impresses me the most is that you guys are extremely knowledgeable in what it is that you do. And I love that. It's always the foundation for me. If anything, you should just know what it is that you're doing. And I think we all just can tell that the future of our children is going to be in good hands if the teachers of today are this passionate about the field. So thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best going forward. There you have it, Orange Army. This was Thembelihle Nkoana as well as Valerie Matongo joining us for a great conversation here on In Conversation. So be sure that you do subscribe, that you like this video, you comment down below and you share it with your friends, especially the ones within the Faculty of Education. I think they can learn a lot from this episode. Kodwa ke until next time, Kamelam Zethembe Ngungulesha amaphepho phezu into abakhala amadoda akhala abafazi. Bye bye and God bless.